How bad was slavery, Daisy? How
It
bad?
couldn't be any worse there. I just keep trying to tell you. Can anything be any worse when a white man was having children by the Negro slave women and then putting them up for sale on the block? Putting it to my father, they wanted to sell my father for a breeder for $12,000 when he was 12 years old. And old Golden, John Golden, was the rich planter. He wouldn't sell him for that. This lady that was in this room this morning is from New Orleans, one of the women. Just this past 2 weeks, she found this picture of my father down in New Orleans, and she's bringing it to me now. I'm going to have a copy of it, of my father.
Great. What regiment did he fight in, Daisy?
1st New Jersey Cavalry. When he ran away, my father was on the plantation working for his master, and he with 27 other boys ran away, swam across the Rappahannock River, and joined the 1st New Jersey Cavalry in 6th from the war.
Was he a good fighter, your father? Did he fight hard for the Union?
Oh, yes, dear, he was a brave boy. Naturally, he had nothing else to do. He was a brave boy. He had to be brave to come up here in this country and make a living. And
it was significant that Joe Biden pardoned Leonard Peltier because Leonard Peltier has been in prison for almost 50 years. He's considered by a lot of people to be America's longest serving political prisoner. Leonard Peltier has been in prison for almost 50 years because he was convicted for murdering 2 FBI agents in a shootout on Pine Ridge Reservation in 1975. This reservation happened to be a site where the FBI itself was intentionally fueling tensions between different tribes there because it was part of a grander secret plan by the FBI to infiltrate and destroy a group called AIM, which stands for the American Indian Movement. Part of its strategy was to get different tribes to fight with each other. And in the end, they wanted to disrupt AIM. 2 FBI agents went onto this reservation one day and a shootout started with some Native Americans on the reservation. The 2 FBI agents ended up getting killed. Another Native man who was there got killed. But you don't hear about him very much because the FBI and the government are very focused on the FBI agents. The government launched a manhunt. They put Leonard Peltier in prison with no evidence that he had committed a crime, and they hid evidence, and they lied, and they threatened witnesses to lie. So multiple presidents over the years have, even Democratic presidents who have suggested they might release Leonard Peltier, in the end did not. Biden in 4 years said nothing. And then on his last day as president, literally minutes before his presidency was over, as Donald Trump was being sworn in as president, Biden issued a statement saying that he was commuting Leonard Peltier's sentence and essentially freeing him from prison and letting him spend the last days of his life in home confinement, but back home with family and loved ones around him. Leonard was part of this group AIM that was like, that's not okay. We're going to fight back for justice on our own. So he was to many Native people, he was like a hero. It took 50 years, but he got out. And that, to me, is a testament to people not giving up and continuing to pound the wall and pound the floor and pound the table and keep arguing and keep showing why it's not right. Because it took 50 years for this to finally happen for Leonard Peltier. But there were countless people over decades who've been screaming about how wrong this is, about how the criminal justice system is so broken. And in the end, people didn't give up, and I think ultimately that is why he got out.
Just like woke, DEI has become the hot new slur. But what is DEI, and are DEI hires real? Let's get smarter in seconds. DEI stands for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. The acronym has become an umbrella term for strategies within organizations to account for past and present marginalization due to racism, sexism, ableism, and other forms of systemic oppression. In the United States, the 1964 Civil Rights Act made discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin illegal, and DEI programs became the way that these mandates were implemented. Legislation that bans discrimination benefits everyone, except bigots. DEI programs are crucial, especially in the context of a country that, while founded on freedom and democracy, excluded women, black people, indigenous people, immigrants, disabled folks, and more. But how does DEI work? Say that systemic sexism in an office meant that women applicants were not considered unless they applied to be a secretary. The 1964 Civil Rights Act made that illegal. DEI programs were designed to dismantle such biases and create equitable hiring practices, ensuring that women would be considered for all roles based on their skills and qualifications instead of being excluded because of sexism. And no, DEI programs are not about lowering standards or checking off boxes based on identities. They're about fixing a rigged system, accounting for systemic oppression, and giving everyone a fair shot. And even with DEI programs, discrimination persists. Candidates with white-sounding names are more likely to receive callbacks. Women are less likely to be promoted. And it is still legal in the United States to underpay people on the basis of disability. In 2020, many DEI programs came to the forefront of public discourse, particularly following the tragic murder of George Floyd. In some cases, DEI programs received increased attention, funding, and interest. But the increased attention meant increased backlash. Phrases like DEI hire have long been used to discredit anyone who does not benefit from the status quo. This is because in their minds, it's impossible that, for example, a black disabled woman could be the most qualified candidate for a given role, which says more about them than it does about her. In their minds, we need to go back to a time before the Civil Rights Act, before DEI programs, when only well-connected wealthy white men could be considered for leadership positions, and companies didn't have to consider anyone else. But that's white supremacy, the false and harmful idea that white Western Europeans are inherently superior and should therefore rule society. It's also patriarchy and any oppressive ideology that says only a select few people are capable, intelligent, and human enough to be included. So it's no surprise that the same people who want to ban DEI programs are the same ones trying to ban us from learning why we needed them in the first place. And in some cases, they have been successful. Anti-DEI efforts are about restoring white supremacist patriarchal control, not about fighting for freedom. I've been accused of being a DEI hire before, but I would rather be hired based on my skills in a fair process than simply selected because a supremacist thought I would reinforce the status quo.
Smarter in seconds.